just a good-looking fan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And here's your host. Damn it, you're not in the right place. Robert Winfree. Yay!
Hello, everyone, and welcome, as Mark said, to Damn You Hollywood. Tonight we are discussing, well, the least interesting adaptation of Pinocchio to come out this year, in theory.
So we have technically 3 films and 1 video game about Pinocchio this year. This is a strange year.
It really is. Of all the IP to enjoy a resurgence of that magnitude, Pinocchio. Well, as Mark mentioned, I'm Robert. We have a couple of guests. You just heard Alexis. She's back here because she comes on whenever we talk Disney and or animation. And since this is Pinocchio, it's both. Hi, Alexis. How you doing?
Happy to be back. Happy to tear this movie a new one.
Hey, it's the new host of TV Party Tonight, Alexis Hejna.
It'll be nice when I actually get to host another show. I need to talk with you about scheduling after the show wraps.
All right.
We'll see.
And joining us for the first time, and if history is any indicator, far from the last time, because we are a black hole. Once you pass the event horizon, you can't escape anymore.
I would like to describe us as a very friendly cult.
Sure, you would. But Zach, we have joining us Mr. Zachary Strobel. So Zachary, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's great to be here. Longtime fan.
I appreciate the sentiment. I don't believe you though.
Yeah, neither do I. We talked before the show. He's like, I listened to one show, and I'm like, and you came back? Why?
Zach was previously a contestant on Tripped Up Trivia.
Oh, nice.
So he has been technically on the network before.
Very good. So Zach, tell us a little bit about yourself. This being the first time you're on Damn You Hollywood, introduce yourself to the world. Are you from? What all is your what brought you to film? What expertise do you have in talking about Pinocchio and Disney films and animation and whatnot?
Well, I'm originally from New York, but I live in Tucson, Arizona.
Hang on, which part of New York? Real New York or upstate New York?
Long Island, so a little bit of both.
High five, buddy. You gonna leave me hanging?
Oh,
there we go. All right, wait, what part of Long Island? Nassau or Suffolk?
Oh,
Nassau.
Yeah, high five, buddy.
yeah, Mark's from Uniondale. For the record.
Nice.
And Massapequa.
Nice. I'm from Jericho, so
nice. Okay,
yeah.
All right, you can stay. You can be part of our club now.
Awesome. Currently living in Tucson, Arizona. Long story, but background history. Currently, I am a art teacher, elementary school art teacher, but also a former animator. Used to work for FX's Archer.
Oh, nice.
Yes. What else did I used to do? I currently write children's books for Amazon. Alexis has helped me with a few of them. Say a lot. That's.
I did the cover art for 2 of his books, I think.
Yes, you did it for Grandpa's Beagle and Deborah the Retail Worker.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, those are real books, which you can get on Amazon.
That's amazing.
You're not even close to the weirdest book titles I've seen on Amazon.
Big fan of animation. Been drawing ever since I was 7 years old. You could see this is not like a green screen behind me. This is actually a big picture of Pinocchio. My mom found this on art. So I'm sitting in this weird, uncomfortable position where I could show you the picture, but yeah, just love Disney, love film. Just
is that why you wanted to come on tonight? Like, was there anything specific about Pinocchio? You were like, Alexis, I don't know who these 2 assholes are, but I got to talk about this. Even with them, I got to talk about this movie. What made you decide to grace us with your presence?
I might have a little bit of a controversial opinion about it.
Okay.
Ooh.
He did. He comment. I wrote on Facebook. I wrote, Disney, just for once, could you try? Just actually try. To which Zach commented, "Hey, I'd love to be on your show sometimes." To which I asked you, Mark. I said, "Hey, we got a fan. He wants to come on. Would you kill me if I sent him a link?"
Okay.
Thank you.
What's your opinion of the original animated classic?
Well, I have a big frame picture of it, so I really do like it. It's my second favorite Disney movie. The only reason why it's not number one is because Aladdin has Robin Williams in it, so they play dirty.
Sure.
Just beautiful movie, but it's just the characters that I really like about it, and I feel like this animation, which is stunning in every way possible, is just secondary to just the story. And it's very different from the book, but I think it's one of the few book to movie adaptations that actually does enhance the story. I really like the character of Pinocchio a lot more.
My last kind of introductory getting to know you table setting question before we get into the plot synopsis, Robert, is after you were done being a huge fan of the Pinocchio animated classic and being a professional artist yourself in some respect, after watching this live action remake, did you have to walk into the woods to live deliberately like the rest of us? Yes. Okay.
Just say no and we can move on, man.
Are you talking to me or him?
I was talking to you, Zachary.
Oh, sorry, because you said Robert.
I said just say no.
Oh
no, I was letting him know he was up to bat to do the plot
Yeah,
synopsis
yeah.
once we got your answer.
Oh no, I did not. I actually I went and watched the original again, which is what I think the reason these sequels exist, besides us talking about them.
It's you know what? What's funny about that is after watching Cruella and then the Glenn Close live action remake of 101 Dalmatians, I actually did sit and watch the animated classic with my kids. They're like, "Hey, remember when this was a good movie? Let's watch that again."
Hey, the many
All right.
Saints of Newark drove a bunch of people to rewatch The Sopranos, so.
True. All right, Robert, take it away.
All right, this is pretty much the story of Pinocchio with a different twist on the ending. So if you know the story, you know what I'm about to tell you. We open on old Tom Hanks as he cavorts with his CGI animals and wishes for his son to it's never made expressly clear whether or not his son is dead or just has moved away from him and they've had a falling out, something like that, but he wishes for another child, and he's created a puppet out of pine and decides that he will name it Pinocchio because pine and child in Italian, you get Pinocchio. He sees the wishing star. He wishes for his son / a new child, and the blue fairy shows up and brings Pinocchio to life. Jiminy Cricket is here. And God bless Joseph Gordon-Levitt for keeping that accent the whole time. That's
yeah,
a weird...
it's kind of like when you see that horrible live action Yogi Bear and you hear Justin Timberlake doing Boo Boo, and he just like sounds so spot on for the characters. Just like of all the things that I would have predicted, Joseph Gordon-Levitt sounding exactly like Jiminy Cricket is not one of them.
Yeah. So Pinocchio is brought to life. He and Geppetto do the bonding thing for a while. Then he sends Pinocchio off to school, and like most people who go to school, he is abducted by an anthropomorphic fox.
Like most children on their way to public school, abducted by kidnappers.
Yeah, Mark, didn't that happen to both your kids on their first day of school?
Every day, and every day since. Every day is the same thing. We get a ransom note, and then and my daughter starts talking about wanting to smash the patriarchy, and it's like, all right, you can have her back.
He is sold to a puppet show led by a large Italian man named Stromboli. There, he meets a more original character, our first British character to take place in this Italian story, who befriends him and helps Pinocchio escape, which he does in his usual fashion. Pinocchio then tries to go home, but he is abducted again, because on your way back, this time by Cockney Luke Evans and his mini-me.
Apparently he said, "You know what? I had so much fun playing Gaston. I just want to chew the scenery even more."
He has been taken with these other children to Pleasure Island, and that's not a phrase you can say safely on the internet these days, but children to Pleasure Island.
Hang
Where
on.
they
Hang on. I'm not going to use this for TikTok so I can get away with this now.
Not
Moving
again
on.
with the endless clips.
just down the full soundboard there.
He did that on our review of Upload. Apparently that was my christening as the first time. That too.
Yeah. So they all go to Pleasure Island, and it's CGI'd fun, where the children are turned into donkeys because that's what they do on Pleasure Island. Pinocchio kind of turns into a donkey, at least partially, but he is rescued by Jiminy Cricket from Luke Evans and his smoke monsters.
I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor.
Yeah. He returns home. Once again, this time he is not abducted, but he discovers that Geppetto has sold all of his clocks, which he had previously not wanted to sell because they're all Disney references.
Gets
Yeah,
sued.
someone had way too much fun animating those.
But he has sold all of them and bought himself a small boat, which he is using to search for Pinocchio because he found a flyer that indicated he'd been taken to Pleasure Island. So Pinocchio is now water skied via the world's strongest seagull out to go locate Geppetto. They do find him. They sort of, they're about to reconnect, but then Monstro shows up, and whoever designed Monstro needs to be flogged. A terrible looking creature.
Yeah, apparently I've actually been hearing rumors that they were because Monstro was a sperm whale.
Yeah.
In the original, I actually heard they were worried that animal rights activists were going to get upset if they made him a regular whale. So now he is a sperm whale. He's like whale-o-puss. He's a sperm whale with tentacles on the side. This is sci-fi monster week come to life.
He's a bit more humpback than sperm. Like when you look at the body of him, it's weird what they
I'll
went
take your
with.
word for it.
Like he's just weird. Just a weird creature. He swallows them because that's what he does. As per the story goes, they set a giant fire inside of Monstro's mouth to make him sneeze. He then sneezes them out because we lost Mark for some reason, but I assume he'll be back. We then they escape. Geppetto is injured during the escape process. Pinocchio sheds a single magical tear, which revives him. And our new ending is not Pinocchio becoming a real boy. It's, well, he demonstrated the qualities that we like in people, so does it really matter if he's actually made of wood? And I put my head through a wall because you have completely misunderstood the story, but I'll yell about that later.
Because Disney just has to sell the message that you are perfect exactly as you are, and you don't need to change. You don't need to grow. The world will love you just as you are. I mean, let's face it, that has been the moral of every single Disney live action film.
Pretty much on the remake side, yeah, and it works in some of them. Like there's a couple of these that I do like, but some of them just radically miss the mark. And for me, this one does. But Zach, you're up first. You've got a lot of history in the industry and whatnot. So your reaction to this film, good, bad, and otherwise.
All right, so I have a lot of tree puns, but I promised Alexis I wouldn't do them.
At least do them in moderation, okay?
All right. I would have liked to do them. I mean, most of them aren't pineful or anything, but I just think they're just okay.
You piss off Robert enough, he does have the ability to mute you.
I only had 3, so that's what. I worked hard on that.
I was you son of a birch.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you did there. This is where I have a little bit of a controversial opinion because honestly, I think the first 40 minutes of this movie or the first half of this movie is honestly pretty good. And I think of that a lot because it has a good director, it has a good writer, it does have the effects are pretty good. Like I actually like it. I like like where you get to know like the changes they did with Geppetto, like with his deceased family. That sounds weird out of context, but yeah, I think that it was. I mean, it's not better than the original, but I mean, I love Michael Keegan-Key. I know by law he has to be in every Disney live action / animated movie. Like I know he was in Chip and Dale, I know he was in Lion King, and I know he's in this. But honestly, I really liked him as Honest John, and honestly, I would have liked to see more of him. Like I think the part where he disappears, I think that's where the movie goes downhill for me. Because I think it's very well paced by that point, but the pacing after it is atrocious. It runs into this theme, like they try to do something from the original, and then it does something weird, and then it just abruptly ends. And that's like a theme like I see throughout the movie. Like also this movie, as a teacher, I feel very offended. This movie's very anti-school.
Just a bit.
He just goes, he's like, it's like in the original, like school's supposed to be like, oh, he's got to go there if he wants to be a real boy. He goes there, gets kicked out. I'm like, what was that all about? That was like messing up the message. And there's a part where in Pleasure Island where they throw a brick through, like they destroy the school. I'm like, someone who made this movie really didn't like school. I mean, I know it's not every kid's favorite place in the world, but I mean, at least they're consistent with it. Anyway, it's I really thought that the effects were really good in the movie. Some of them are better than others. Like I love Honest John's design. Like it matches like Keegan's energy though, and the lighting is really good. Like but honestly, I feel like I think it's just the stuff they added, and especially that ending I just felt was too rushed. And like even the scene in Pleasure Island, because I watched the original one, the original movie. I timed it. Both Pleasure Island scenes are exactly the same time. Like they're both about 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe it's like 12. It doesn't really matter. But what it is it's like he doesn't even go there. Like he just gets kind of like swooped up, like literally and figuratively, like in it though. And it's like you don't know who the coachman is, like you don't know what his plan is, unless you've seen the original. And that's kind of the problem also with the movie, is that it's just like it just assumes you've seen the original. So it's just and recently, yeah. So that's where it is. It's like especially that ending where like you mentioned, it just ends, which I can understand why they did it, like you went into, but did it have to be so rushed? Like it's just like like if I saw this in a theater, I'd be like, is that it? And then the usher would be like, get out of here. Like that. I don't know. Yeah, so overall, I thought it was just okay. Obviously there were things just like the ending that really made me angry, but I think this is the Disney remake that has the most potential. Like I said, good writer, good director, good composer, good cast. It's just when they had to it started out okay. It's just everything it just felt too rushed at the second half.
There's a real lack of connective tissue between the individual sequences as well for me on this, and it definitely there's a lot of jarring transitions between narrative beats. But I do think you're right. This is one of the ones that's it was set up more for success than some of the other of these that they've tried, certainly. So, Alexis, you and I both had a similar reaction to I'm going to assume that was improvised by Keegan-Michael Key when he tries to come up with a stage name for Pinocchio.
I actually screamed at my TV, and my husband was upstairs in his office, and he ran out going, what's wrong? And I'm like, I just hit my limit. So I do give credit to Keegan-Michael Key. I give actually credit to most of the actors in this, that they are trying. Tom Hanks really needs to stop doing accents. For those of us who saw Elvis, you know what I'm talking about. But he is, giving it his all. The kid who voiced Pinocchio really is doing a wonderful job. Keegan-Michael Key is giving his all in this performance. You can tell he is just throwing himself around the audio recording room. It's like they will talk of you. You will be fit. You could tell he is just flourishing so much with it. And like I said, Luke Evans, even as the coachman, the stage coachman, I don't remember exactly what you call him.
Just coachman.
Coachman. He does a good job. I like how he has when he's singing and he's handing them. Oh God. The fact that they had to change it to root beer. I know we're not going to see kids smoking the cigars. I get that. But the fact that the kids are drinking root beer, I'm like, you kind of miss the point.
You can't, root beer is not that color. Like,
no.
It's just, sorry.
No.
You made it.
Hold on, let me check.
Oh, he's got root beer. Okay. But,
let me see.
Okay, we got A and W. Let's find out.
Yep.
Well, that's the first.
They definitely made beer and then just had the ADR root beer in there.
Undoubtedly. But yeah, you have the scene of him singing and he's handing them the root beer and he's singing. It's like, play. And it's like, he's actually giving a really good performance. You know, he has this menace, but he still sounds so charismatic and persuasive. And I liked it. But they can't save this movie. The tone is all over the place. Pinocchio was a very, very dark story. And it's clear that the producers for this couldn't figure out if they wanted to stay as dark as that. They were scared to go that dark. And because of that, it bounces around too much. The pacing, like you guys said, is terrible. The fact that he gets picked up in the net to take to Pleasure Island. I mean, I'm going to go and like, I'm sorry, did you guys not have the budget for Honest John again or something? Because I don't know why you're doing it like this. I don't know why we suddenly get this lesson on peer pressure. Robert, you weren't kidding about Monstro. That also pissed me off because Monstro, in my opinion, is one of the best animated movie monsters. He's not just a whale. He's got that curled lip like a sneer. They gave him human teeth. So he has more of a grimace than just like a predator would. And that roar, that crazy roar they gave him, it's legit terrifying. And this monster, it's like, okay, so you didn't want him to be a whale. You made him a sea monster. Fine. But he's not scary. He's not imposing. There's nothing built up to him. And the chase feels very underwhelming. Just so much of this movie just screamed either it's the exact same.
Are we done with the plot synopsis?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, my computer crashed and everything, so I missed what was going on. Zach already had his turn to do his craft review.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't know if it's been said yet. This is not how I wanted this to go tonight, but
don't worry about it.
I did want to bring up something, and again, I apologize if this was already addressed, but the thing that stood out to me with this Pinocchio was, so you've chosen to do things in live action, and I was thinking about like Beauty and the Beast, which has a lot of CGI in it because you got to do the cups and everything. But if I recall, and Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, not that it was like photorealistic or anything like Jungle Book or Lion King, but everything in Beauty and the Beast felt more textured, more layered. Those felt like real cups. Those felt like real pots. That felt like a real candelabra. Candelabra. Thank you. Everything felt like it belonged in that world. And I'm watching this and I'm getting like Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibes, but badly done. You have a wooden puppet, and they chose to make the wooden puppet not look in any way, shape, or form like a wooden puppet. They chose to intend to make him an animated character that's approximating it's almost like, again, it has that Roger Rabbit vibe to it, where that's clearly a cartoon rabbit. But I was thinking about the difference between Roger Rabbit and Pinocchio. Even with cartoon characters interacting with Bob Hoskins and Christopher Lloyd, that all felt seamless. They all felt like they belonged in that world. Nobody felt like they'd walked in from another dimension, like this is that one episode of The Simpsons. Everything felt cohesive, where Pinocchio doesn't look like he belongs in that world. Pinocchio literally, again, it goes that episode of The Simpsons or Family Guy where you've walked into a completely different type of world where you don't belong. He's so brightly colored. He looks nothing like a real. There's no texture to him. There's no it doesn't come across like wood. He looks like a cartoon. He looks like a cartoon boy, and it's really jarring.
I'm with you, Mark. You could see the wooden texture on his skin, but it looks like just like his mouth and his eyes. They're painted on, and it's like, how do I put this? Like someone's projecting them. Onto the wood. I was expecting more of a carved face, but you never actually see any real expression or movement in his cheeks, his eyebrows, or anything like that.
I kind of liked it.
Okay, well, go ahead and you can debate me on this. What about it did you like? Because to me it was jarring.
Well, I liked it because it reminded me of a better movie. So
fair. You talked about like tonal consistency. For me, there's an aesthetic inconsistency in this movie. Things.
Now we'll never know his things.
Computer must have crashed again. All right. Well, Robert, you want to take the floor now? You've heard from both Zach and me. You want to start up the next argument?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get into mine very briefly.
Oh, he's back.
I was going to say there's an aesthetic inconsistency that takes me out of the movie. So like Geppetto interacting with Cleo and Figaro. I was listening to the critically acclaimed guys talk about this today. Like they couldn't put out for a real cat. We had to CGI the cat, but the cat doesn't do anything. They CGI'd a cat that was just going to lay on a table. Like what? Why? Why are we doing this? Well, go ahead, Robert.
If I can dovetail on that, some of the effects in this movie look good.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime Tom Hanks or anytime a live person is interacting with something that's clearly CGI'd, there's an inconsistency that this movie never fixes.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Tom Hanks carrying around that cat, and they're having the cat move and do stuff.
Don't go too far into this because I got to talk about Tom Hanks, but continue.
Well, and it's not really like he's not really reacting to the cat, and the cat's not really where it's supposed to be in his hand, and he's petting it, and it's not reacting to being petted. And there's times when he picks up Pinocchio, and like you just inserted the CG model, but anytime Tom Hanks shifts his hands a little bit, because he's miming playing with something, or he has a physical doll that he's monkeying with, there's no reaction from the model to the physical stimuli, and it's really jarring when you like the first time I saw it was when he's messing around with the cat, and I couldn't unsee it for the rest of the movie. Like these things, there's no verisimilitude here. These are not interacting.
Broke the uncanny valley for you.
Just a little. We are the bottom of the uncanny valley here, people.
I was thinking about this.
Tom Hanks.
I was thinking about this, and I'm almost reticent to bring it up because I feel like I'm gonna do it, and then Alexis is gonna catch the vapors, and she's gonna fan herself and fall over. But Tom Hanks sucks, and this isn't like a Pat Mullen Tom Hanks as a dirty pervert sucks. Didn't he used to be a good actor sucks? What happened here? Like
I commented after your computer crashed. For those of us who saw Elvis, please tell Tom Hanks to stop doing accents.
He didn't bother me so much in that one, just because like you could. We talked about this when we reviewed it. You can kind of play off the fact that he's supposed to be like swarmy and awful, and so his awful accent plays into just the general awfulness of that character. It's so bad. It's like I'm going to give you nothing to like about me, including my terrible acting. Fine, that all works for me. It doesn't work here. He's supposed to be somewhat of a sympathetic character, but he just sounds like he's having a stroke through the entire movie. Like that whole first act where he's messing around with Pinocchio, and the whole thing is like he sounds like fucking The Godfather. Pinocchio, no, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. He's just. The whole time he's just hunched over and mumbling, and I'm like, what is this that I'm watching here? Like Geppetto is this going to the animated classic. It's just this like, full of life character, and he's got so much joy within him, and you want him you want him to have a real boy. You want him to have that father-son connection. He is somebody that glows brightly. And then this character, I kept waiting for the scene where, that they cut where he goes into a corner and drinks himself to death. What was happening? This was a really weird portrayal. And I between the writing and the acting, you would be convinced. And I am a huge fan of Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump. I think he's fantastic in that. And a lot of like the 90s Tom Hanks stuff is pretty phenomenal. You would be convinced he's the worst actor in Hollywood after watching this. He's terrible. Like, to the point that I was telling Robert before we started, and I already had a hard time getting through this movie because it's so bad, but I almost didn't get out of the first act. And that is all on Tom Hanks. He sucks, Robert.
Actually, if I can piggyback, there's an actor in this who sucks far worse than Tom Hanks.
Really?
God help me. It's Cynthia Erivo.
Is she the Blue Fairy?
Yes. This is my impression of how they got.
She's such a non-character, though. It didn't bother me as much.
Okay, for the record, this is the actress who's going to play Elphaba in the film Wicked that's coming out. She's going to play the Wicked Witch.
Serious?
100%.
That's going to go so badly.
This is my impression of them offering her the role. Cynthia, we'd like for you to play the Blue Fairy. Well, I don't know. I don't really think I want to. We'll let you sing When You Wish Upon a Star. Okay, I'll do it. She sings beautifully. Her rendition of that song is amazing. You can tell the rest of the time she's acting, she's just like, let me get this over with. There's a crawler on the craft table that I want.
Universal, Comcast, Pornhub, please, you can still pull the plane out of a tailspin. You're spending like billions of dollars on this 2-part Wicked story coming out in the next couple of years. Please recast that role. There's still time. There's still time. You can.
It gets worse. This. You know who's playing Glinda or Glinda, whatever the hell her name is.
It's Glinda, the Good Witch.
Yeah. What the hell's the name of that pop star again? Hang on a second.
Please tell me it's Taylor Swift.
No, it's not Taylor Swift. No, this one actually can't act even worse.
You said pop star. That's really all that needs to be said.
All right. I don't. Well, she's looking up.
Ariana Grande.
Oh no!
Damn it!
And I have killed the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, I don't even like Wicked as a property. And even I feel badly for all of the people who do after.
I feel bad for the fucking look. Look, we all know that I'm a dirty corporatist, and I feel bad for Universal, Comcast, Pornhub that they're gonna lose so much money on this 2-part Wicked movie. Like seriously, that first part's gonna come out, it's gonna bomb like cats, and the second part's gonna go straight to Peacock, which is not a real service.
Assuming Peacock is still around by the time the second half of that movie comes out.
Oh, for the record, It's Cynthia Erivo. I'm sorry, I mispronounced her name.
All right, so. Cynthia Erivo, got it. I don't really have a whole lot else to add. This movie was so like poorly paced that I had a hard time staying with it. And then you brought up like the net scene. There feels like just a lot of scenes of Pinocchio running. And it just like they were just
like he's Tom Cruise.
I was gonna say that.
It almost had that like Phantom
easy.
Menace George Lucas effect of how much shit can we put in the frame, and have before it stops making any sense whatsoever. And they were getting awfully close at times. So that's Robert. Anything else before we move on?
A couple of things. There's a bunch of the sequences in Pleasure Island that they don't look good.
Hold on, Robert. I got to ask you something because Mark and I talked about this and he disagreed with me. You agreed with me. Doesn't this movie scream that it was supposed to be seen in 3D?
Yeah.
All right. I want to address that real quick.
There's a dozen sequences in this movie that are like, hey, put your 3D glasses on. And oh, wait, we're on Disney Plus.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Zachary.
I thought, they did one thing consistent. They wasted a lot of food at Pleasure Island. Like in the original, like Lampwick's eating like a roast duck or chicken or whatever. And I was like, he just takes a bite and throws it behind him. I'm like, come on, that henchman or that black fart in the remake. That one, he's evil, but he must have slaved over a hot stove for that.
On October
with those smoke monsters, why didn't he just have henchmen?
I don't know.
Who knows? On October 29th, 2019, it was reported that Disney was considering releasing the film on a streaming service, Disney Plus, due to the box office failure of the horrendous piece of shit that was the Dumbo remake from 2019.
Ugh.
Well, that's dumb in the name.
Don't bring that up again.
Though it was reported that a theatrical release seems more likely after the hiring of Robert Zemeckis as director. On December 9th of 2020, the film was officially announced to be moving back to Disney Plus instead of a theatrical release in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So you're probably right, Alexis. This was probably meant when they were doing principal photography to be in theaters and to be projected on on 3D. And then everything went to Disney. It went to Disney Plus. So
there were way too many shots of forced perspective.
Yeah.
That it was just like this hat. Or let me put it this way: if it wasn't, somebody forgot to tell Zemeckis that he's not making 3D movies anymore, because I know he made a ton of those during the 3D revival of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was watching. It's like, Zemeckis, they did tell you this is going to Disney Plus, right?
Disney what now? Go talk about the ending real quick, because I know that was a big problem.
Well, let me get through some other craft issues, because I want to save the ending for last. There's stuff where they're on Pleasure Island, like when they're going on their big carnival trip, and they're like supposed to be almost surfing down these like waves of gobstoppers or jawbreakers, and it looks awful. Like it just looks. It's so. We know this thing's green screened. If you then compose sequences that make it even more obvious, it just hurts. Like it's just physically painful. They do the thing in the writing, and I hate this. I really hate this. This is not just this movie. This is a thing I hate. Where we'll quote something from the source material, and then the next line is something that's modern and anachronistic to it. I mean, our intro to this is Jiminy Cricket doing speaking the first couple of lines from When You Wish Upon a Star, and then going, catchy tune, isn't it? Like, no. Bad writer. Don't do that. This is for everybody out there. Don't do that. Do not do that. It's a stupid writing trick. Don't do it.
Agreed.
Okay. I won't do it again.
like just tearing pages out of his book. Like
okay, this is out the window. Just throw the papers.
Afterwards, she's going to get with Alexis and be like, I'm not going back on that show again. Those guys are assholes.
Oh, yeah. Just
throwing his book over his shoulder.
Killed his will to live. Sorry, man. I should have warned you. That happens when you come on the show.
Yeah, it helps to come here already at least partially zombified. Then you're good. Yeah.
Speaking of smoke monsters.
Yeah, zombified or drunk. Take your pick.
So the ending. I hate this ending for a couple of very specific reasons. Let's get to the big one. Fundamentally, the story of Pinocchio it's about the hero's journey and how that changes you. That's ultimately what it is. Mm-hmm. Pinocchio comes to being. He has a goal. He wishes to become a real person. He goes out into the world seeking knowledge. He is betrayed. He is tempted by pleasure and the sort of hedonistic lifestyle. He rightly runs from it. He tries to return to his father, who has been swallowed by a whale. He descends into the belly of the beast to retrieve his father. They escape, and through the course of his heroic journey, he is transformed. And this is the message of Pinocchio. It is about the importance of going out into the world and facing the perils and trials and horrors that you find there, and the fact that these acts are transformative to you. They make you into who you want to be. And again, this is the fundamental essence of the story. And your ending here is for all the people screaming about Rian Johnson subverting expectations, this is the most deliberate undercutting of a fundamental message of a story you can find. Pinocchio does not change. He has not changed, in fact, fundamentally by his journey. Geppetto's the one that changes. He comes out at the end like, I really shouldn't have wished for you to be a real boy, and I'm sorry. That was my fault. I'm a bad white heterosexual male.
Yeah, I get the idea that he was saying, I shouldn't have wished for you to replace my son.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At first, I thought that was where they were going to go with this, because, again, he sees the picture of his son, who, I guess is deceased. And it's clear he is still going through the trauma and depression over that. And that's why he wishes for Pinocchio to be his son. But they forget to include that in the entire middle. It's like they add that at the beginning and they add that at the end. There is nothing in the middle of this movie that hints that Geppetto made a mistake.
Yeah, and it's painfully obvious why they chose to alter this ending the way that they did. And it's really stupid. Like, again, you are undercutting the entire message that Pinocchio is meant to teach people. And it's just bad. It really sits poorly with me the more I, like, immediately it sat badly with me. It sets worse the more I think about it. So, Zach, you seem to be, I seem to have pinged something
he's
there,
chomping
so
at the bit, man.
Yeah. So please.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it really, it's just an abrupt ending. I get what they're doing. And it's a little annoying because at the beginning of the movie, like Jiminy Cricket's like, oh, it's like, I know what's gonna happen to you. It's like, really? And then at the last minute of the movie, he's like, what happened to him? Nobody knows. Who knows what happened? You know! You're the narrator!
That was a very weird little speech they gave him. It's like, well, there have been lots of versions. It's like, why did you write it like that? It's like, you want to leave it open-ended, stupid, but fine. But again, why did you write it like that?
I assume that most of the writers on just have lost all ability to assume nuance. Like, if you want to leave this open ended, here's how you do it. You have Geppetto holding Pinocchio's hand as they walk into the tunnel of light, and there's a change in Pinocchio's outline. He becomes less angular, but you never actually show the transformation. And that's it. Then you let people decide for themselves, like, did he actually what happened there? But because we can't do that, we can't do nuance, we can't do subtle, we have Jiminy Cricket up there going, well, this is an open-ended story, and you're allowed to decide for yourself, and whatever you decide is just fine.
Relativism. It's terrific. Hey, I want to play a game.
Isn't.
Yeah,
because,
I like games.
All right, so we have like 20 minutes left slotted for the craft review, and sometimes we just don't go the whole hour. But I want to use this time to look at the other live action remakes. And we're going to go from back to 2014, starting with, and so the game is better or worse than Pinocchio. Okay.
Oh dear God, this is going to hurt.
Okay, Robert.
I haven't seen that one.
All right.
Damn it.
I'll play.
Well, we reviewed them all. So starting with Maleficent, Robert, better or worse than Pinocchio?
Maleficent, first one.
That's a rough one, man. Because there's some good stuff about Maleficent, and we talked about it back then. But like the stuff with the king is so bad.
It's better for one reason and one reason only, because Angelina Jolie chewing scenery is at least entertaining.
Agreed. Angelina Jolie really elevates Maleficent, but she's definitely elevating a piece of garbage. All right. Next one, Cinderella.
Oh,
by far the best.
Cinderella is still the best, technically. Like, if we're talking filmcraft and everything, Cinderella is the best one of these they've done. So much better.
I think we're on record as saying they haven't done a good one of these since 2015. It's like, wow.
Probably.
Every time somebody asks me my thoughts on the live action Cinderella, I just say, just go put on Ever After if you want to watch a decent movie.
Fuck you. Cinderella's great.
What? I think Ever After is the best live action Cinderella story. I really do.
Okay.
You're hurting my. You're gonna make me.
Oh, you made her disappear. Oh, she's back.
Like you guys are really going to sit here and make me have to stand up for my mother's opinion. All right, fair enough. Dude, Slipper and the Rose is still like there's a bunch of these Cinderella adaptations.
Look, Zachary's just been on one podcast with us, and he's watched another one, and he's seen how like hard we can be on movies. You want to see two middle-aged, heterosexual, cis, white gendered men just gush about a Cinderella movie? Listen to me and Robert talk about the one from 2015.
Yeah.
We were breathless with how much we loved that
Well,
movie. It was fantastic.
Hang on. We didn't have a bad thing to say about it. That doesn't mean we were effusive with. We didn't gush.
I recall it's gushing. All right, next
Relative
one,
to some of the other stuff we talked about in 2015, yes.
Sure. Jon Favreau's Jungle Book. Not as good as Cinderella, but by far one of the better ones.
I
say that's the best live action.
No, the best is Cinderella.
remake
We've
so
already
far.
covered this.
Hang on. I did not enjoy the Jungle Book. I'd still say it's better than Pinocchio, but that's another one where they changed the ending stupidly.
It wasn't even a book. It was a movie. You should have called it the Jungle Movie or the Jungle Book movie, which sounds dumb, but at least it's accurate.
It
We
makes
should
as
have
much-
warned you, Zach. He's got a ample amount of video clips and sound effects, and he knows how to use them.
Okay.
So, Loki.
I don't think Zach's going to get that joke, though. So
Yeah, keep going.
So, Loki.
Next
Okay,
one.
moving on. Next one was Alice Through the Looking Glass. I don't even think we covered that one. I know I took
oh,
my daughter
that's such
to
a
it.
bad movie.
Not good.
No,
Yeah, this is
So not good.
so better or worse than Pinocchio, though.
Worse.
worse.
Wow. Okay, Pinocchio is still better than Alice with the Looking Glass. What a piece of garbage that was.
I might be convinced that Alice in Wonderland is better than Pinocchio, even though I dislike that movie. Through the Looking Glass is terrible. I got forced to watch that while I was donating plasma. That's the only way you could get me to watch it. It's terrible.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that one I actually
Better.
saw.
Beauty and the Beast is much better than Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
I kind of like. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I thought Pinocchio was better, but it's not like. That's not saying a lot.
Christopher Robin. I remember we gave it a halfway decent review, if I remember correctly.
I like that movie. I thought that was a good movie.
I was listening to the critically acclaimed guys. They trashed Christopher Robin. There was an element of it that they thought was a disservice to the Winnie the Pooh story.
Really?
Not sure I agree with that from them, but yeah, better than Pinocchio. Yeah, and
Sure.
I mean, yeah. Look, we gave Christopher Robin. I think if we gave it a letter grade, it was like a B-. It's well above average. It's not spectacular.
Yeah, I remember taking my aunt to see it. Worse.
Yeah, Dumbo's worse than Pinocchio.
Yeah.
You think so? I don't know.
Hey, Mark. Let's think back to just how much of that movie is spent with the older daughter character and her.
We talked about that.
And all the things that this 9-year-old child in the 1920s is so much better at than most people are today.
Yes, and we trashed that. And I definitely complained we didn't have racist crows, because that's my favorite part of the movie. I've seen a house fly. But I don't know.
Poor Michael Keaton at a podium randomly pulling levers while sparks go off.
I'm going to go ahead and give a controversial opinion. I think it's slightly better than Pinocchio. I didn't fall asleep on Dumbo.
Because
I will give Dumbo this, at least for the most part, visually, it was a little bit better. And I credit that solely to Tim Burton's style. I like the look of the circus that he had.
Tim Burton's film's greatest monster, Tim Burton.
Dumbo was a little bit more visually interesting than Pinocchio. That's all I'm saying.
Greater monster, George Lucas or Tim Burton, Robert?
In what context? You can't just say who's the greater monster. There's.
It's yeah, I'm sorry, you can't say Phantom Menace or Planet of the Apes remake. Okay.
Aladdin.
Worse.
Worse than Pinocchio? Are you mad?
Hang on.
I actually say better, but Zach, you also said that how much you love Robin Williams. So, no offense, man, but I think you're a little biased on that.
Yeah,
so.
that opinion.
I'm very biased.
To me. So I'm thinking
hang on.
back.
Thinking
back to our Aladdin review. Our big complaint was her big busy businesswoman feminist moment that seemed completely out of nowhere. But the rest of the movie, we didn't really bag on that much.
No. There's two other things about the movie we bagged on. One, the Bollywood dancing, because reasons. Don't know why it's there. Second, the fact that they ran out of budget before the end of the movie. So instead of a proper finale, we get them chased by Iago for 20 seconds.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember us complaining about how it's like they land in that where there's like a fountain or a sculpture or something of a giant snake, and the three
Yeah.
of us were like, okay, it's gonna come alive. It's gonna come alive. It's going, where the hell's the giant snake?
Right.
So I'm willing to entertain arguments on both sides of that. I'll say Aladdin's a little bit better than Pinocchio, but I can see the argument to the contrary.
I think it's grander. It has more gravitas, and I think other than the stupid ending and the dumb feminist song,
Oh, no,
Aladdin
wait.
mostly works.
Here's the other thing we complained about. If I can show you the world is a trip around the bay, you failed miserably.
That's fair. Still better than Pinocchio. I don't care what you say. The Lion King, the photorealistic piece of garbage Lion King. The special
Worse.
So
The-
much worse.
the special effects demo reel Lion King.
They're making a
Worse.
prequel. You guys saw this, right?
Didn't, but whatever.
We are getting the Mufasa movie.
Oh,
Terrific.
man.
I hope
I
he
hope
lives in
he-
this one.
I hope.
He's got plot armor for the. The only
I
way-
hope at the end he's in a breathable suit and he's just no with his paws up.
You know what? I'll say the Lion King's worse just for the abomination that they did to Be Prepared. If for no other reason,
Oh.
what they did to that song makes it worse than Pinocchio, and the characters like half sing rhyming dialogue.
Yeah.
Plus side, the Mufasa prequel will not be directed by Jon Favreau. I don't
Oh,
remember
thank
who they brought in, but it's not Favreau, so
You
we
know,
can
I
be
can already make
thankful
a
that the man
prediction
who
for
gave
you.
us The Mandalorian is not doing that again.
Unless it goes straight to Disney Plus, if it goes into theaters, here's what's going to happen to it. Anyway,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
are you having fun, Zach?
I am.
Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Worse.
Worst.
Worse.
I didn't
Worse
see
than
it.
Pinocchio.
You
Oh,
are
you're
better
not
off.
missing anything.
You are missing nothing.
I don't think
I
I've
rem-
seen half of these.
Mark, that was one of the first movies you asked me if I wanted in on it. You assumed I was going to say yes. I said no. And you were just so taken aback. Like, you don't want to talk about this? I'm like, I don't want to sit through this. Please don't make me.
Fair. Yeah, Maleficent is a very entertaining movie. This sequel is hot garbage. Speaking of hot garbage, Lady and the Tramp.
Haven't seen
Matter.
it actually, so I can't comment.
Alexis and I reviewed it.
I saw half of it because then I realized, oh yeah, I'm at home and I'm an adult and I don't have to watch this.
That was one of the first movies that Disney really pushed during the shutdown.
Mhm.
It's like, it's like, hey, we have new stuff on Disney Plus,
It was
even though
that
you're
and the
locked in your home.
Mandalorian. That and the Mandalorian were available day one on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I reviewed it, and I remember us thinking, it's a nothing movie. They took out the racist cats, which made me upset.
They made
Are
them.
you-
They've had them voiced by black actors. I feel like they kind of missed the
We
point of cutting
talked
the
about that.
racism.
Well, that was like we talked about that. We were like, they took out the racist Asian stereotype to put in the racist black stereotype. Like,
It's like, did you do not think this through, guys?
like as African Americans, we have come so far that we can put ourselves in the movie and be racist, and it's perfectly fine. But we're going to
And I'll
continue to
get
protect
back
the
to
Asians.
singing "Zippity Doo Dah."
I guess I'm waiting for the all-white version of Song of the South.
Zach knows what I'm talking about. We're both on that animation historians board that I tell you guys about. And how often would you say, Zach, we get someone talking about Song of the South at least once a week?
Oh, definitely once a week. It's like sign my petition, we'll go nowhere. It's like
Oh my God, there are so many petitions to have Song of the South get released. It's like,
Guys, this is for everyone out there on the internet. Your online petitions mean nothing.
By the way, just go to any convention. You'll find a Song of the South. I did. I have Song of the South on bootleg DVD, and I watch it every Black History Month. No, just kidding.
Right after the corner.
Yeah, I gotta wipe the tears out of my eyes.
okay, now that we've alienated what few listeners we have left.
Speaking of alienating listeners, Mulan.
Oh,
Worse.
No.
No, worse.
It's worse. Mulan is worse than this.
I hate.
By the way, speaking of movies that completely misunderstand the message of their original story, Mulan's a story about how you can overcome your physical limitations through hard work, dedication, and ingenuity. And the live action version is, well, you're a girl, ergo you're magic.
Not to mention, I think it's worth pointing out, Pinocchio was released onto Disney Plus for free. Mulan, we had to pay $30 for it.
True.
It's like it's not just garbage. It's garbage we had to shell out extra for.
And speaking of garbage, we had to shell out extra for Cruella.
I liked it.
Hang on.
Ooh.
I know all of us gave it a.
Put him back. Okay.
I know all of us gave that a bad review, but I am going to say it's better again because it's more visually interesting. And I know we agreed on this when we discussed it. The soundtrack kicks ass.
No,
I did
Robert
not
hated the
agree
soundtrack.
I did not agree to that.
What we agreed on was that the costuming was the big star of the movie. And it was about the only thing holding it up. You and I like the soundtrack, but Robert's point with the soundtrack was this is yet another person who misunderstood the point of Guardians of the Galaxy and just went, ar, 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 put famous songs, ar, 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 and like nothing else, So, all right. So Pinocchio, oddly, not the worst piece of trash they've released since they started doing these live action remakes.
For as dumb as the ending is, and for as much as the ending misses the point of Pinocchio, it's a less offensive retelling of this story than like Mulan is to the original.
It's fair. Well, that's why we went through this exercise. All right, Zach, it's time. Are you ready to play the game?
Yes.
It's time for my favorite segment of the show. I don't even give a shit about these. What?
Yeah, you got to do the money first because you haven't talked about the box office weekend.
No, I am.
While.
That's what I was getting to.
Oh, but I thought your
spoilers.
No. His favorite
Robert,
part.
You ruined the setup.
I
Man.
ruined it. Normally, his favorite part is trying to.
I know. You know what? I said play the game, and I'm like, he's thinking I'm going to do the Triple H thing, and I'm like, no, I want to play the money.
That's true. You also did set up with the wrestling reference.
I did. I messed up. Anyway, I set the ball, but like to the other team.
Yeah. You scored on the wrong basket.
Exactly. All right. So my favorite part, even though there was no money to be had, here it is, the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Hey, we're tiny in the corner.
Has anyone ever found a copy of that clip without the Spanish subtitles?
Yeah, even if I did, I wouldn't send it to him. I like.
Listen, it's currently not dinging the copyright thing on YouTube, so shut your face. Leave it alone.
Which is the big thing.
Fair enough.
That's why we had to get rid of Shane McMahon. We used to be. I don't know if you watch wrestling, Zachary, but it used to be. What do you call it? Naughty by Nature's the money theme for Shane McMahon's entrance music, and I was getting dinged every single time for copyright infringement. So
yeah.
We switched it to this. All right. There is no money to be had. This was a straight to Disney Plus thing, but they did spend like, $200 million on this, Robert? I mean, I can't find exact numbers, but I've heard it's like Marvel money.
It's somewhere between 150 and 2 would be my guess.
I'll look up it on Wikipedia, see if it says anything.
Can I just say something really quickly? Mm-hmm. I feel like this should have gone theatrical. And hear me out on this. Because the thing is, whether or not these are good or not have not stopped them in the past. I feel like they should have just released it because if you're going to make money, and this is going to sound really, really, really mean, but if it bombed, maybe they would stop making all these awful remakes.
We could hope. We could only hope. Well, look, in the world before Disney Plus, you would have been correct.
Okay, I want to counter that point with the following anecdote. When I worked for Rob Zachari's, aka Rob Black's Extreme Associates. Yes, folks, I worked for a dirty, filthy pornographer. I was the marketing person for his pornography. When I worked for Rob Black, and we started filming the XPW shows, and then we were putting them on VHS and shipping them to stores, there was a question of who in their right mind would buy these? Who would sell them? Like we're like a distant fourth in terms of wrestling companies. There's no fucking way that, people will look for WWF, they'll look for WCW, and they'll even buy some ECW. There's no way anyone's going to buy these. And Rob was like, you don't understand how retail stores work. They need shit to sell. They can't just sell the same thing. People will eventually stop coming into the store. They need a variety of products to put on the shelves to sell. So they'll even take our rinky-dink tapes because it's better than nothing. When you create an infinite shelf, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network, whether it's TV Party or Damn You Hollywood or Triple Feature, we have talked about how streaming services are an infinite shelf of content. They don't nearly have enough. And Robert and I started to talk about this with The Gray Man, about how we're coming to, I think, the end of the streaming wars, and you're going to start seeing, you're already starting to see companies and services being engulfed by other bigger, more successful ones. And there's going to be less and less streaming services as we go along. You know, we had this rise to like peak streaming to where everybody and their mother, you know, we had the Radulich and Broadcasting streaming service. Everyone had a streaming service. Zachary had a streaming service. Everyone did. And nobody bought them. People bought like one or two of these, maybe. And then the rest was like, yeah, no. And so you're starting to see the bottom fall out and the collapse of these streams. And so now, as we talked about on the Gray Man review, you need streaming movies like Pinocchio. This thing was never going to make any money. Okay? This was going to bomb in theaters. They are better off putting it on Disney Plus because at least that got eyeballs on the streaming service. To where if they don't put high quality IP on the service, why, you know, again, this was one of the reasons why they invested so much money in Lucasfilm and before that Marvel. The idea was we have these IPs, we need to create exclusive content for our streaming service or no one's going to buy this crap. You want to jump, Zachary, you want to retort? Robert, you want to chime in?
I retort. I just wanted to say that. No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Again, like, you're right, and we can all wish that they would just make better stuff. And boy, do we. Do we really
but I
wish
think
you would make better stuff?
But I don't. They didn't go out of their way to make a piss poor product because they went, you know, they're like this is going to Disney Plus. Oh, well, fuck it. Like, you know, everyone go home.
I don't know. Again, so much of this, we've talked to this before, that there's a lot of movies that we sit back and we go, okay, we could at least see why this got made. You know, there was a passion in one person. It's like, this was a passion project for the director. There was a lot of passion in the writing. There was a lot of passion in the acting. This movie, with the exception of money, which again, we know it wasn't going to make a lot of money, I cannot find a legit reason why this movie was made.
The legitimate reason is it's they have it. They need to make
it's a box. It's a box to be checked.
A wooden box.
A pine box.
Damn it, wrong show again.
Into which we will put the bodies of our victims.
We can talk forever about what was a worse live-action Disney remake, but this Pinocchio really did feel completely soulless. There's no question.
But I think you're talking about two different things here, because your first question of why did it get made, Alexis, they have a list of IP. If they're not doing something with it, they're losing money. Okay, they have Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a character they ostensibly own. You know, there's a live Pinocchio running around the park to take pictures with. They sell toys of this stuff. They sell mugs. They sell T-shirts. And to get it back in the public eye, you have to create something, a television show, a movie, a cartoon, something. So why did it get made? Because it needed to be made in order to get people to be thinking about Pinocchio again, and then possibly, like, think about it this way. What if you had a 3 or 4-year-old right now who has no discernible taste? You could have put this on with them. There's really nothing wrong with it. And now that kid, you got a 50-50 shot. They want a Pinocchio toy of some kind. And you have to do this every couple of years, because every couple of years, more and more 4-year-olds exist. More and more 5-year-olds exist. And those are the people, they're going to beg the parents to buy the toys that make the noise. So why did it get made? Because they have it sitting on the shelf. If it's not doing something, they're losing money. Bottom line. Now, if you're talking about, like, well, why can't they make good stuff? I don't know if you know about this podcast called Damn You Hollywood, but it's mostly an indictment. It's mostly an indictment of how piss poor quality most of the stuff coming out of Hollywood is. Have you heard of it? Yeah, it's this one right here. You're pointing at it. That's right. All right. Moving on.
Clearly thinks we're number one.
We love you too, Alexis. All right. So the weekend that was Barbarian from 20th Century Studios. Speaking of things owned by Disney, came in at number
seems
one.
Seems to be getting a lot of good buzz.
I want to go see it.
Yeah. I think had I had the time and Pinocchio hadn't come out in the same week, I might have pushed for Barbarian instead. Bra Mastra came in at number 2, and that's also a Disney, I guess a Disney distributed movie. Bullet Train fell from 2 to 3. Top Gun 1 to 4. The Invitation. Hey Alexis, how was The Invitation?
It was like Stephanie Meyer decided to do a rewrite of Dracula.
Ew.
Sounds terrible.
It was.
At least it wasn't the E.L. James version.
That stayed at number 5. DC League of Super Pets fell from 4 to 6. Life Mark debuted at number 7, which is a Fathom event of some sort. Beast, speaking of things that crashed and burned, fell from 6 to 8, and will I'm sure be on
Idris Elba.
and I'm sure will be on Peacock momentarily, which is not a real service. Hey Zach, have you noticed we have a lot of running gags on this show?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure you. I didn't know if you noticed or not.
I noticed.
Okay, great. Minions. I think one of the most successful animated film in like years. Some shit.
Might be actually.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Because it's over $900. It's over $900 million.
I want to say it's at least since the pandemic. Minion. What do you call it? That fell from 7 to 9. Spider-Man was re-released in theaters. That fell from 3 to 10.
Because reasons.
And money.
Because Morbius. Yes. Because Morbius. Where the Crawdad Sings stayed at number 11. Thor is now on Disney Plus as of this past week, and that fell from 8 to 12. Nope, which is for some crazy reason is getting a sequel, fell from 12 to 13. Medieval debuted at...
What's it called? Nah?
Nah, brah. Debuted at 14.
Or the sequel be Yeah.
The Jaws re-release fell from 9 to 15. 3,000 Years of Longing, 13 to 16. Elvis, 15 to 17, currently on HBO Max. Honk, meep, meep. For Jesus, Save Your Soul, which I believe is somewhere on a streaming service of some sort.
I think it's Paramount.
Probably
right.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah, fell from 14 to 18. Gigi and Nate, 16 to 19. And then Orphan First Kill, also on Paramount Plus, fell from 17 to 20. Debuting also After Ever Happy at number 26, Unfavorable Odds at 30, Hockeyland at 33, and Hold Me Tight at 36, and About Fate at 44. And that was the weekend that was. Worldwide, Top Gun still the only movie this year to cross the $1 billion mark and cross it by a pretty wide margin. But coming up on it, Jurassic World Dominion just a mere 3 million away from crossing the $1 billion mark.
It ain't doing it.
I know. Doctor Strange fell from 2 to 3 at 955. Minions, again, probably
Minions.
the most successful animated film in the last few years, crossing the $900 million mark. That, big win for
Illumination.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure I can't remember what the parent company is. Is that also Universal, Robert?
I think so.
I believe that is, yeah. The Batman falling to 5 now at 770. Thor Love and Thunder right up on its butt at 758. 40 Gate Bridge.
Thor Love and Thunder is not going to beat the Batman.
No, it's not.
I didn't see the Batman. Does he go like, I'm the Batman?
No, but he does chase around a sad girl. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
He's not. Instead, we get the I'm vengeance.
I'm vengeance. Watergate Bridge at number 7. Fantastic Beasts at number 8. Sonic the Hedgehog still not beating Fantastic Beasts like we wanted to.
Yeah, I know.
At number 9. And Uncharted at 10. And here are all the movies currently doing better than Morbius. Uncharted, Elvis, The Bad Guys, Lightyear, which bombed, Too Cool to Kill, Bullet Train, Nice View, The Lost City, DC League of Super Pets. Yikes.
Hey, it beat Morbius. We'll call that a win.
And nope. All right. And here are all the movies that couldn't even beat Morbius. The Black Phone, Scream, Death on the Nile, Where the Crawdads Sing, The Roundup, Triple R, One Piece, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Downton Abbey, and KGF Chapter 2. All right. Enough silliness there.
Genuinely shocked that Morbius was able to make more money than Jackass Forever.
Kind of disappointed that Black Phone is sitting underneath Morbius. That was a good movie.
Yeah. It went to streaming pretty quickly though.
It did.
All right. So
I'm sure it has been streamed a lot more than Morbius.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The only movie in wide release here is we've got Running the Bases, Pearl, which is the prequel to X, which I haven't seen it yet. Please do. The Woman. Hey, guess what, Robert? I don't know if you know this or not, but you might be shocked to hear The Woman King is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I can't believe that movie critics have shot their credibility like this.
I
They go out of character.
I cannot believe that movie critics far and wide gave a perfect score to The Woman King. I'm shocked, I tell you.
You know what else has 100% on tomatoes? The original Pinocchio, because it's awesome.
Good for that. Seriously, good for that.
Good pull there.
No, look, about The Woman King, it's going to be another example of how critics and audiences are watching two different films, and it's really obvious why, because all you critics are you're cowards and you're desperate to keep your access. That's what it is.
I know, in limited release is this Bowie documentary, Moonage Daydream, which I'll be going to see this weekend with my wife. We got God's
That's got a
Country.
96 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but it's more fun to make fun of The Woman King. All right, and then for some odd reason, I don't know why this didn't go to streaming, and it's being released on a really odd day. September 19th is the Jeepers Creepers Reborn, which is the Fathom event and limited release. The following week, we've got the number one movie of the weekend, this coming weekend. What do you think? Pearl?
No.
It's not going to be The Woman King.
Hang on. Given how weak the weekend is, it might be, but it's going to be a piss poor number.
Yeah, I don't know. People go see horror movies.
Pearl's only they do, but Pearl's not that kind of horror movie.
Well, the other side of this, I haven't seen any marketing for Pearl yet. I've seen the trailer for Smile a bunch of times. I've seen Barbarian a handful of times. I haven't seen shit for Pearl.
I've been seeing a ton of Pearl. Actually, Pearl has gotten a lot of trailers on YouTube.
I haven't seen anything for Pearl. The Woman King's paying to be promoted by UFC events.
Okay. So who thought it was a good idea to promote The Woman King, the story of Black African female warriors during white as white bro fuck UFC?
Okay.
What?
Do you want to know? Do you want to? There's two answers to this.
What?
Do you want to know?
Hold on. What?
Hang on. I want to give him his props. Wait a minute now.
That was a good one. Okay, do you want the actual answer, Mark? Because I can give you the real answer, believe it or not. Whatever you want to say about MMA fans generally, and you can say a lot of negative things, and you should. Most of them are true. I say this as a person who covers the sport and considers himself a fan. A lot of degeneracy. MMA fans are incredibly egalitarian. Why? Name me one other women's sport that draws one half of the interest that an Amanda Nunes fight does.
Okay, there is a chasm between what the Woman King is and women's fighting.
I'm aware. I'm saying if you want to know why, because someone in the marketing department looked at, what sporting events, what fan base is cool with women sports. MMA fans love female fighters. We do.
That is a fair and poignant argument. It's also wrong. No one's going to see this movie who's a UFC fan. Not nobody.
I'm not saying it's going to be successful. I'm saying that's why.
Okay. The person who is UFC fans, The Woman King, match made in heaven, is getting fired on Monday.
That person needs to be fired, yes. But you're not going to advertise in a WNBA game. I mean, it'd be cheaper, but there's no audience. You're not going to advertise on the NBA because it's too expensive. I'm not saying UFC events are cheap to advertise on. They're very much not. But, again, MMA fans have embraced female combat sports in ways that other combat sports have not embraced women. Women boxers, they're paid like crap. That's why they come to MMA.
All right.
The WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. We can go down the list. That's why. You're not going to be successful, but that's why.
Right. The 23rd, the big wide release here is the Railway Children Return, which I've not seen any trailers for. And a re-release of Avatar. Let's move on.
Re-release
And
of
then-
Avatar is probably going to win the weekend, believe it or not.
Probably. The September 30th, we've got Smile, which I've seen tons of press for. It's a Paramount movie. That's probably going to win the weekend.
I would assume so. It looks like a decent enough horror
The,
flick.
its only other competitor is Bros, which is going to be on Peacock, I'm sure, shortly thereafter. And then we're finally, Sucktember is over. And we move into October. First week of October, we've got Lyle Crocodile, which will win that weekend. And that is a Sony picture. The following weekend after that, we've got Halloween End, which will win the weekend, but it's not going to do well because that's also day and date on Peacock, which is not a real service. And then finally, because Bailey, after Halloween ends, I think we skip a week. I know Black Adam comes out. So the first decent movie that's going to slaughter the weekend and actually remind us that people go to the movies will be Black Adam, and that'll be the 21st. Then we have Pray for the Devil, which is no longer The Devil's Light. They renamed it on October 28th.
Okay. Always a good sign of faith in your product when you're renaming your movie.
Yeah.
Out of release.
Well, you know what's funny is I was going to just checking the schedule, making sure everything's coming out when we said, and, making sure that we're going to review things in a timely manner. And I'm like, where did The Devil's Light go? What is Pray for the Devil? It took me a minute to realize, hey, wait a minute. This used to be The Devil's Light, this Pray for the Devil movie. Which also means I had to throw out the art that I was saving for it because, hey, new title. Also, Dark Harvest disappeared. I don't know if you saw that. We had been talking about it. We were going
to review it, I think.
Yeah, we were going to review it, and then right up until it was supposed to be released, it was on the schedule, and then it went away. It's an MGM movie, so I'm thinking they're reworking it for Amazon Prime.
One would assume.
Yeah, I think that's getting the Samaritan treatment. So, Zach, what'd you think of the money? Huh? Was that not intellectually stimulating?
Yes, there was no money to be made.
It is September.
Which defeats the purpose of these remakes, but yes, it made a lot. I think it didn't make a lot of dollars, but it made a lot of sense.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Fun behind-the-scenes story, believe it or not. You know the name of the enchanter in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was not originally Tim. They had a name written out for it.
Mm-hmm.
But John Cleese up there couldn't pronounce the name. That's why there's a pause. He kind of forgets it, and he couldn't pronounce it anyways. There are those who call me Tim. And it just worked so well, they left it in.
That's awesome. All right. And now, everyone's favorite part of the show, the critical review. Are you ready? I said, are you ready?
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Well, this piece of shit. The critics hated it, and the people didn't love it either. Jesus Christ. Visually dazzling, no. But
Not
soulless, sure.
Yes.
The largely inert Pinocchio reaffirms that you should always let your conscience be your guide. Fuck you. Anyway, from unnecessary remakes.
Yeah, whatever cobbled together that consensus, shame on it for that reference. It's so unnecessary. I don't like the remakes either, but that's a stupid reference.
All right. Let's see here. Oh, Peter Canavis of Groucho Reviews. Oh, he's slipping into a dry martini. There's an overabundance of unnecessary concessions to modern taste in this effects-driven CGI animated remake, but it moves along pretty nicely, and they haven't broken it.
They kind of broke it with the ending, believe it or not. This just goes to show how little you understand the story being told.
So basically, he's saying that because this movie didn't make him scream at his TV like it did for the rest of us, it's okay.
Sure.
Richard Probst desperately wanting to be invited to parties in Hollywood of the independentcritic.com.
Independence. I got your independence.
It's in my shorts. I honestly loved Pinocchio from beginning to end. Good for you, asshole.
Why was that sentence chosen?
If you have to put honestly in your sentence that early in your sentence, we know you're lying.
Like Honest John.
Can't trust someone who says whose name is Honest John. Not if they gave the name to themselves.
Robert, do you see him?
Oh God, I'm gonna enjoy this one.
Oh, get the lube. Here we go.
Okay, now you made it even weirder. Why did you?
Hey, Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies.
Mark's here to tell you all about his brief career writing media for porn.
You know what I've always wondered? Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies.
Hey, weren't you briefly on the end of an episode of XPW where that happened to you?
Yes.
In character?
Yes, in character. Glad we clarified that.
I'm sure your scene partner was a nice man.
It's lovely. Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies, says, hang on, I have to explain this to Zachary real quick. So for the last year or so, I have made it my mission to bully this perfectly nice stranger. One, I hate the name of his, whatever the hell he's writing for. I just think that's the dumbest title ever. But a lot of these critics say and write dumb shit, which is the whole purpose of this segment. He is a special kind of dumb. He is the kind of dumb that you want to give money to because, it doesn't know any better. That's how dumb Kevin Carr tends to be. And he gets to be on Rotten Tomatoes, and we don't. And it makes me angry and makes me want to kick stuff. So I kick
like
him.
Kevin Carr.
Like Kevin Carr.
And then Mark gets tired kicking Kevin Carr, so he points me at him.
Yeah. Robert and I have a nice, 50s greaser style bullying going with Kevin Carr, whether he knows it or not. So anyway, Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movie, says a faithful adaptation to the Disney classic that doesn't pull its punches on the weird and disturbing elements, Zachary.
It really does.
Zachary.
Feel free to, if you would like to say something mean about that review, now is your time.
I mean,
I'm
if you've ever wanted
his nose didn't grow out saying that.
I mean, if you've ever wanted to make a sexual assault joke, this is the show to do it on. So go ahead.
I haven't thought about that. I'll accept. I'll decline your offer, though.
Okay, just letting you know that this is a sharing space. You know.
All right. So, for the record, Kevin.
Don't make him regret ever knowing me, Mark.
For the record, Kevin Carr, you buffoon. This movie, okay, rewatch the transformation sequence in the original, rewatch the transformation sequence here where the kid is turned into a donkey. With less budget, the original makes that a genuinely horrifying transition. This is comical. There's actually bits where they're making jokes about whether or not Pinocchio or Lampwick or whatever his name is are the ones making the donkey sounds. No, this movie runs screaming from the dark material, "You're a giant weenie."
Especially since they cut the scene. Oh God, what's his? Alexander, that's the name of the donkey that the coachman says, so you can talk. And that donkey's like, I want to go. It's that scene still freaks me out.
Yeah, you can still talk. I want to go home. Quiet. This is your home now. You pull the cart.
All right, and here's
I will admit, actually, I hate to say, but that was the thing with the donkeys. There was one part of that I did like, and that's during the coachman song. He starts jumping on what you think are his horses. Those are donkeys. And if you see, and if you know Pinocchio, you realize he's jumping on the heads of the kids. And I actually thought, I was like, oh, I will give this movie 1 point. and 1 point only for that bit.
Yeah, that could have been very dark if they hadn't run away from it for the rest of it.
All right, and here's an example of why we shouldn't let husbands and wives review movies together. Gene Kaplan of Kaplan vs. Kaplan and David Kaplan of Kaplan vs. Kaplan. No matter what your opinion is on the discussion surrounding these live-action adaptations, Zemeckis' updating feels fresh and innovative.
No, it doesn't.
Today's technology greatly enhances the experience of seeing Pinocchio again. The group's eventual escape on Geppetto's fishing boat through the monster's mouth and the swirling ocean waters is exciting and remarkable.
No, it's not. Again, they dumbed down Monstro so much. He's not a threat. I mean, he's big and he wants to eat them, but he's nowhere near as scary as the original whale was.
Tom Hanks had more convincing acting against CGI'd water in Castaway than he did here.
Christopher Lloyd, not that one, of the film Yap.
No, not that one either.
Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis team up again with an animation team to bring the classic tale to a new life in this endearing live-action CGI combo on Disney+. Thanks for writing out what's going to be the sticker on the box, you asshole.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's the Tick Bird review right there.
All you did was write ad copy.
This is a rotten review, but I always like to check in with the future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfree. Amy Nicholson of the New York Times, former newspaper, top critic. Amy Nicholson, formerly of Collider, a former website, of the New York Times, top critic. Amy Nicholson!
Get over your crisis of conscience there, Mark.
Amy motherfucking Nicholson.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Did I mention that I didn't log out and I still have access to the sound effects too?
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I don't care.
Okay, for those of us that might have to go do something in about 10 minutes.
This is back and forth, me and her. Like, oh yeah, well, fuck you, too. You know.
That wasn't me.
No, that's me playing. Amy Nicholson, the former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfree, says, the reimagining
former ex, that means we got back together? Are you changing up the future of my time? Are you changing the timeline now, Mark?
They're all your future exes. Lola Lamchock is the future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfree. Amy Nicholson is also the former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfree, as is
Shouldn't it be the former future ex?
Yes, the former future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfree, correct. As is Carla Collodi, whatever the hell her name is, from the Curvy Film Critic. Ooh, I gotta find her next.
Mark has nothing better to do with so much of his time.
I really don't. The reimagining goes awry in the opening number, Not When You Wish Upon a Star, the Oscar winner that ascended to become the company's signature tune, but a new ballad, When He Was Here With Me, sung by Geppetto about his freshly concocted dead son.
It's not even really sung. Like,
yeah, I didn't get that. It was clearly supposed to be a song. Why didn't they have him actually? Okay, actually, quick question. Can Tom Hanks sing? I can't think of any time
Apparently not.
On the soundtrack.
He can rap in Polar Express.
That was like 100 years ago, though. Of which this movie's getting compared to, by the way. Of which this movie's being compared to. Hey, another one of Robert's future exes, Tanya Lamb of Lola Lamb Chops. Pinocchio lacks charm and something fresh. I hope I'm wrong about this and that Pinocchio will entertain new audiences and families, but I'm afraid not. Thank you for filling us in on your blog piece, madam.
Why do you hope you're wrong? Like, what about this entire scenario led you to the conclusion that I have a negative opinion of this, but I hope that it finds success? If you think it sucks, you shouldn't want it to succeed. You should want it to die. Oh, Roger Moore.
I swear to God, Roger Moore hates everything, but this one he's all in?
Disney.
Roger Moore of Movie Nation, a good Pinocchio, if not a great one. Perhaps the smartest decision anyone made about it was in consigning it to Disney+. It's a backhanded compliment.
I was going to say, it's like,
well,
wait, was that positive or negative?
His review is 2.5 out of 4, so it's fresh barely.
Ooh,
Roper was positive.
Well, yeah, hang on. Go back up. I want to see what Roper said. Scroll back up, Mark. A little more.
Oh.
There you go.
Richard Roper of Chicago Sun-Times, former newspaper, top critic. Every frame of Pinocchio is filled with rich and lush detail. At times, this almost looks like a 3D film.
Which you wanted
And
to
the
be.
performances, whether live action or voiced, are universally excellent. No, they're not.
No.
The performances are not universally excellent. There are some good ones, though. And not every frame is lush and filled with detail. Some of it's overcrowded and uninteresting, and some of it's painfully flat.
This is the last one I'm going to read. But this one kind of makes me laugh. Mark
right.
Feeney of Boston Globe, top critic, former newspaper. Pinocchio's nose isn't all that's wooden and too long hair.
I give credit.
Jesus, what the fuck did I do?
Oops. Sorry.
Well, now that we have
Wow.
officially scared Zach from ever wanting to guest on our show again.
No, I have the patience of a saint.
No, I won't do it again. I have so many more clips. No, actually,
He does.
did you enjoy yourself tonight, Zach? That's really what we want to know.
Yes, I did. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Anytime you want to come back, you're more
Hopefully
than welcome.
Mark's computer won't self-destruct next time.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
thank you.
weird, right? All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
you said it.
like
You said it crashed. What exactly happened?
I don't know. Like all of a sudden, like I have a Mac. All of a sudden I got the beach ball. Everything froze, and then it literally just blanked off. And then
Ugh.
the next thing it's like, you know, when you have like the whole thing just like crashes and you get like the flashing folder, like that happened, and I'm like, uh-oh. So I restarted it, and it took a while, obviously, but yeah, eventually I got it back. So I don't know. Shit happens occasionally. Zach, this is the best part of the show. This is the plug section.
Yay!
So go ahead and tell people where they can find your books, where they can find your OnlyFans, whatever it is you want to plug.
So I have so my books, like they're under a name called Talon Books. There's a Facebook page, but I barely use it. If you just go to Amazon and just type in Zachary Strobel, or even if you go into Google and just type in Zachary Strobel, it should take you straight to my books.
Okay. Is there any other social media or anything that you want to plug? Do you have a TikTok?
No. I am a teacher, so I do not do the TikTok. I've been
Good
asked.
choice.
I've been asked by my students. They go, "Mr. Strobel, would you like to be on Can you be in your TikTok?" And I'd be like, "No, I don't want to go to jail today." So,
Okay.
so no.
All right, Alexis. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. So yeah, we've got Alexis has helped me with some of my books, so a lot of good talent on the books.
Do you do any other podcasts? Are you on anyone else's show, or was this kind of like your first one?
This is like the first one. No,
Oof,
but I had fun though.
What a terrible start. This is not the one you want to start with. Yeah.
Like I said, I think we've scared him off.
Well, I was going to say the only one worse than this one in terms of language and colorful thoughts is the MCU's Bleeding Edge. So
Oh,
I
dear
don't know.
God.
Maybe you started. Yeah, I didn't play an hour's worth of Dave Chappelle clips to start off with. So speaking of Jeff's girlfriend, Alexis, go ahead and plug your stuff.
God, I hate you.
I love you too.
All right. Yes. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We just got done putting a bunch of stuff online, including a handful of new wire wrap necklaces, a bunch of brand new earrings. We're getting ready for the Cincinnati Comic Expo, heading there next week. Can't wait. It's a great show. We've been doing it for years. Love going out there. Love the organizers. They're so good to us. We always have so much fun. Hopefully, if you're out in that area, we see you out there. If not, then we will see you at Anime Nebrascon in October. That is our final convention for 2022. We are thrilled to be going back to that one. We did that one a while back, a couple of years, had to skip it. Been on the waiting list. It's a very hard convention to get into. We are back for this year. We cannot wait. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our shops are available on Etsy and handmade at Amazon. If you're in the Kansas City area, please stop by Level 1 Game Shop, Mon Games and Magic. And if things go well at the end of this month, if you live in the more in the Midwestern area, check out Smallville Comics. Our work is going to be heading out there as well. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
far as podcast goes, Alexis, I handed the reins off to TV Party tonight. I'm still going to be doing the occasional one myself. I have some obligations. Pat cornered me and made me do Cobra Kai season 5, so I added that to the schedule.
Oh, Pat didn't have to corner you for that. Don't pretend.
It wasn't on the schedule originally.
No, it wasn't. And Pat, no. Here's what happened. Pat said, "Mark, Cobra Kai's not on the schedule," and you went, "Oh boy, I screwed up. Sorry. It's this date, and I will be there without pants."
I did not want to add Cobra Kai to the schedule. Pat made me. But
Well, it's like it's all he's talked about on the network chat for the last 5 days.
I can't say no to Pat. So when Pat says we're doing Cobra Kai, I say when. So we'll be doing that and The Crown and a couple of other things. But if you want to hear Alexis take over the reins for the first time on TV Party tonight, she and I discussed finally, Chris Bailey, Upload season 2. Alexis, what are some of the other shows you might be threatening to review in the future?
All right. I know that we talked about doing Cuphead season 2. You and I need to get that on the schedule when you've got
you need to get that on the schedule and find a new host because I ain't doing it.
You don't want to talk Cuphead? I thought you liked Cuphead.
Well, those are two different things. I like the show just fine. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm trying to not do podcasts, not pick up more.
Okay, I thought you genuinely wanted to talk about that show. Sorry. All right, there's that. We are massively overdue to talk Sandman. I know Ben wants to get on that, so I need to get that on the schedule. Robert, you, Jason, and I have been discussing the possibility of doing Midnight Club and Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities next month. Speaking of people who need to save us and Pinocchio, del Toro, please deliver us.
Genuinely looking forward to that, assuming it comes out.
It's got a date on Netflix.
December, right?
Oh, it's on Netflix? Yeah, we're good then.
Yeah.
It will come out if nothing else then.
Okay,
right.
so we got that. Yeah,
Right,
that's
cool.
like I said, we just did our first show where I hosted, and as I mentioned then, it's like, yeah, I need to come up with a schedule, but at that moment, my priority was making sure that I actually knew which buttons to press and I didn't fall completely on my face.
You did good. Yesterday, speaking of doing good, myself and Jesse, we took another trip from the corner to the deuce, this time with The Wire Season 2, where we discussed in vascular detail Zicky's dick. All hour. The entire hour. So
I wish he was joking.
So yes, come check out our hour.
Look, he couldn't. There was nothing to say. It's the best season of The Wire, so Mark decided to spend the whole time talking about genitalia.
You're not going to pull your cock out in here. I most certainly am, Dolores. Love that.
Well,
show.
Zach,
Anyway.
now you certainly can't play this for your students.
No.
Not this part. You can, hey, that first hour is fine. It's always the second half where I lose composure. Anyway, speaking of losing composure, tomorrow, Thursday, myself and first, you ever want to hear Robert and I get into a fucking fist fight on the air? There's a few of them. There was the Age of Extinction one, which is our most famous one. There's the one where we almost ended our friendship, which was Mortal Kombat.
I was in so much pain.
And he also had dental work.
Yeah. Like, the movie was painful, and it was exacerbated by the fact that I was overdue for a root canal, and
I remember that.
was getting jerked around by my dentist's office. It was a giant. I didn't realize how much pain I was in until it was gone. At which point I immediately went to Mark and went, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That was messing me up more than I thought it was."
Fair. But one of my favorite.
I was like, yeah, somebody get this man some drugs.
One of my favorite fist fights, more so than our argument that came out of complete nowhere over Ant-Man and the Wasp, of all the movies to argue about, was
Really,
our Deadpool review.
Oh yeah, because I hate that movie.
Our Deadpool review is fucking hilarious because it's one of the first times where I couldn't believe he hated a movie. Like I now know when this is going to happen, so I'm prepared for it. But this was back in the ye old days of 2015 when I didn't know Robert all that well, and I was like, "Wait, the whole world likes this movie and you don't?" And then that review is so negative, and we fought so hard against each other. One of my friends called me and was like, "Is he still your friend? Like, do you guys still talk?" Like, what? And the thing was, he was mad at me. He was like, "You beat that guy up, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't talk to you anymore if I were him." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So, yes, if you want to hear Robert and I get into a vicious knockdown drag out over the world's stupidest movie, check out our Deadpool review. which will be re-aired this Thursday. And then in addition to that, Pat and I will be reviewing Cobra Kai before I go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers at Camping World Stadium.
Did you find someone to give that ticket to?
Yes, I did. Monday.
Look, if
we
you
have
want to see Flea's junk, just watch the Woodstock. Just watch the documentary on Woodstock '99 that's on Netflix.
I still want to see that. I haven't had a chance to see that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good for what it is.
So since this is my wife's birthday week coming up, from like Wednesday to Sunday, I've got shit going on. So I had to move around all my podcasts. So which means Monday is a special airing of the Metal Hammer of Doom, one of the second to last one that we're doing before we change over to the Metal Hammer of Doom jukebox. We'll be reviewing Clutch, Sunrise on Slaughter Beach. And then speaking of TV parties, myself, Jesse, David, and possibly Andrew will be reviewing the Orville Season 3. And then I'm going to see the Wu-Tang Clan because, as Robert will tell you in vascular detail, the Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
If by that you mean there are things that should be avoided at all costs, then yes.
And then we close out Sucktember with 2 reviews. One, Robert and I will be talking The Munsters from Rob Zombie. And then David will be back and we'll be discussing Star Trek Strange New World. Speaking of things I promised to do before I quit talking TV altogether.
I thought I was also on for the Munsters.
Are you?
Thought I was.
You can be if you want to be. I didn't know if you wanted to do it.
I'll double check the date and make sure because, I think that was what we originally had it as a triple feature. That was Hocus Pocus, and then you split it.
And then, I got rid of Hocus Pocus because I don't want to talk about it, and I just said I just wanted to focus on one movie at a time instead of trying to do 50 in a single show. So,
are we just annexing the triple features then from now on?
No, you can do them if you want, and if I feel like I want to do one, I will. But for right now, I'm trying to not watch 100 hours of movies and television a week if I can avoid it. I got other shit to do. All right. Speaking of other shit to do, Robert, do your plug and let's get out of here. Poor Zachary has a book to write and a class to teach. Let's go. You're keeping this man up. He came here to hang out with us and talk about Pinocchio and like 5 hours ago, and you're still here keeping him here. Get on with it.
Surprised there wasn't a clip that time.
Would you like to see my father's TikTok? Go,
oh God, no, not again.
You got that out of your system? You good now?
Maybe.
You happy now, bitch?
Go on, bunk. Get it over with.
I need a cigar and better suits and to gain about 150 pounds.
And be black.
I can be what I want to be. You can't tell me otherwise. All right. If you're interested, I cover professional wrestling a few nights a week. AW's Dark Elevation on Monday. MLW when they release stuff on Thursday, and they should be coming back at some point in the near future. But don't know exactly when. But again, in theory, MLW will start producing content again. And WWE SmackDown on Fridays. So tune in for any of those. Those are all in the Wrestling Zone of 411mania.com. SmackDown, I do live. The others are written reports that you can find after the airing of the product in question. I cover the MMA events, usually the UFC, also for 411mania.com. This last week, there was UFC 279, one of the craziest fight weeks in recent memory. That fight card started with 3 different fights at the top than we got when it aired. So if you want a full breakdown of that, you can find my report in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com. If you want, if you're not big into reading, if you're like Mark and you think books are for burning, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, you can punch that in and you can find me talking. That is recorded Sunday evening and goes live on, again, Monday morning, so you can listen to it whenever. But that's me talking about the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts and their associated combat sports as it becomes relevant. So tune in to that, again, if you're so inclined, and we'll be back here a couple of weeks to talk about the Munsters. Until then, we thank you all very, very much for your support. It means the world to us. Much appreciated.
Thank you, everyone, for turning into Damn You Hollywood. Thank you, Zachary, for hanging out with us tonight. We hope we didn't annoy you too much. And for Alexis, we hope we annoyed you way too much. Be well. Be well, be safe, and behave.